Hi, welcome to Business Influencers. My name is Chris Salem. We hope everybody is having a great week. We want to welcome you new listeners here to Business Influencers with the TALRadio platform. Again, TALRadio is part of the Touch of Life Foundation, and we are excited to have you here if this is your first time. Again, you can feel free to follow us here at TALRadio as well as on Apple, also on Spotify and our YouTube channel for Business Influencers. And again, giving you access to subject matter experts from around the world, sharing their insights and expertise and experiences to help raise your level of influence and take your business to the next level. If you would like to see content that has not been covered on a future show, feel free to reach out to us here at Chris@ChristopherSalem.com. That's Chris@ChristopherSalem.com. Today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types, an opportunity to either rekindle old relationships or meet new people for the first time. Now, this is a membership program, meaning that it takes all the noise out of social media, no more of those noisy notifications, but an opportunity for you to connect in a genuine, authentic way with the people you choose to communicate with and share the content in groups that you want to be involved with moving forward. If you'd like some more information about Alumni Direct, check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. Well, we got a great show for you today. This is a topic that I love because being a professional speaker, I always admire people that speak on public speaking and where it can apply in so many different areas. So we're going to be talking about why public speaking matters in the workplace. And we have an exciting guest here today, somebody I personally know, who happens to live in the same state that I reside in Connecticut. Her name is Frances Trelease. She is a business owner, workshop leader, and a college adjunct lecturer. Her background includes corporate communication roles for several large corporations in the areas of writing, public relations, internal communications, and focus group work. She holds the following qualifications: an MBA from UConn, Stanford, former journalist and bureau chief corporate communication professional, adjunct college lecturer, business writer and editor, trainer, and a professional public speaker. And without further ado, we welcome Frances Trelease to the show. Fran, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Chris. How are you?
Doing great. So I'm so excited to be talking about this topic, why public speaking matters in the workplace. So important. With workplaces, all the things, the changes that have taken place since COVID, people working remotely and some people working back in the office again. Communication is more important than ever if organizations are really going to engage at a higher level and really, start making a difference in their industries, but more importantly to the people they serve. So let's talk a little bit about, why public speaking. Why is it so important in the workplace?
Because I think that no matter what industry you're in, no matter whether it's public, private, whatever, communication skills make the difference. It's one of those critical skills that helps you meet your end goals. It helps you get from point A to point Z, and more importantly, a breakdown in communications, an inability to do that can translate to everything from missed deadlines to lost opportunities to goals that just aren't reached. And in a very competitive landscape that we're in, that's more important than ever to be able to get your messages across effectively.
Absolutely. Yeah, just so important. And, in terms of public speaking, it doesn't mean that you have to be a professional speaker. It's just learning that how can we speak now with more impact? How can we speak more in an assertive way that we can get our point across? A lot of times people think that, public speaking is just the words we say, what we communicate. But a lot of times it's through our body language. It's through our tone of our voice. Talk a little bit about why it makes a difference in bringing people together to engage.
Well, I liked your point about you don't have to be a professional speaker, and few of us are. But it's more important to know the basics and to know what's involved in just getting your message understood, and that's really key. It's not so much getting the words out, as you said, but effective public speakers are able to blend not only the verbal message but how they say it. and really packaging everything from body language, paralanguage, the way that you approach your audience, and all of those things in place make the difference, because at the end of the day, you don't just want to be heard, you want to be understood, and you want to have an impact. And that's really why
Absolutely.
this is important.
Absolutely. There are things out there where people can learn how to become more effective public speakers, just to get better at communicating, just in general, one to one, one to few, one to many. Okay, again, there are a lot of resources out there online, in
Oh, yeah.
person, that teach people, but one of the notable ones that's been around for such a long, long, long time. I was a member back in 1993 to 1997. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but Toastmasters back in the
Yeah,
day.
they've been
And
around.
and Toastmasters was one that really helped me personally help me to eliminate my ahs and ums. I remember that. And
Those
this
dreaded
day, I
fillers.
still hold that. You will never hear an or an ah when I speak.
That's one of the big ones. And in my classes and workshops, the fillers, the dreaded fillers, we always talk about getting rid of those. Toastmasters, excellent organization. Because one thing that you want to be able to do is you're not always talking in isolation. So you also want to be able to hear someone and counter effectively to them. So I believe Toastmasters also takes you into debating a little bit, unless I'm recalling that wrong, but also to be able to have that two-way conversation. That's part of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, in this world, a lot of the issues and problems that we have with this organization is that we tend to not communicate. We tend to think we're communicating, but in reality, we're not. And as a result of that, what's happening is we're just assuming and speculating that we're getting our point across, and that's not the case. Why is effective communication through public speaking more important than ever?
I think in part because there's so much, I'll call it noise and clutter out there. We're all inundated with messages, whether it's, our phones constantly beeping, or our computers and emails and pings and people talking to us. And there's so much stimulation coming through to us that effective communication helps you break through that clutter. And it's a way to sort of rise above the noise. And I also like to say that for people personally, it builds confidence. So now if you know that you're leading a meeting at work, a team meeting, and you're able to get your message across in a way that you're not competing with their cell phones or their laptops, or they're able to see personal meaning in it for them. It's also a feeling of accomplishment for you as the speaker, because now you know that you have this skill and you can take it with you to different situations.
Wow, that's great.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. And, do you feel like that organizations now, should be really paying a close attention to this more, that this isn't something like, hey, it'd be nice, like if we had some discretionary funds, we'll, maybe once in a while, but this is something that's important. This is a skill that it doesn't mean, like you said, you can be introverted, extroverted. You don't have to be a professional speaker, but
Right.
the ability now that when you can now like communicate more effectively, it's going to help offset potential expectations falling through the cracks, and people are going to be more likely to really relate and understand and clearly understand what has to be done. And yeah.
Yeah, and that's correct. And it should be goal driven, as you said. And I also, that's a good point, because some of my workshops are also on business writing and how to, in this digital world, how to write a message, whether it's an email, whether people are texting at work, whatever it is, how to compose your message in a way that it gives the person receiving it a reason to pay attention and a reason to act on it if necessary. And we're in an environment where there's so many mixed messages and misunderstandings, that it's become more critical than ever, especially as you mentioned, in our hybrid work world. People are in the office 2 days a week, they're out 3 days a week. A lot of this is virtual. And so you want to take those same skills and be able to use them in both an in-person and virtual setting.
Yeah, so true. I love that. And it's something like, again, doesn't mean that you got to do it like where it's going to take up all their time. I mean, you can do this, you could drip this stuff over time, just like how Toastmasters, they meet once or twice a month. These are things that organizations can do and just plug people in and maybe doing it during off hours, not during core production hours, when they can learn and they can get better at it. That's going to improve them so much in their role and duties. Share some of the things that you feel like work best from your experience when you do workshops and you trained organizations in this particular area.
One of the things that undoubtedly gets people involved is the interactivity is critical. So for my workshops, I don't just talk at them. We don't just go through the slides. I bring them up and they give speeches. And sometimes, they dread it and they make jokes about it, but they get up there behind the podium and they have a topic and they compose it and they outline it and they deliver it. And 10 times out of 10, they feel that accomplishment. And the workshops are meant to be learning labs. So they're positive. So suggestions are for the purpose of making someone's skills better and more effective. It's all to build those skills. So what works best, I think, is the interactivity that we build in. I find people find it so empowering to be able to get up there and try it themselves.
Yeah, it is so true. And like I said, it's a safe environment. No one's there judging you and because everybody's in the same boat.
That's what I tell them. No one's going to throw tomatoes or eggs at you. That's not allowed. That's not allowed.
No doubt about it. And what are you seeing like in terms of like when people improve in their public speaking skills, raising their level of communication, what kind of results do you see in the workplace as a result of it?
Well, I think these same people, because a lot of the people that I train, they're all levels of corporations, and many of them are mid-level, and they have teams that they hold weekly meetings with. And they are, they tell me that now they're able to have a better sense of what's on their agenda. They have a better, because there's a lot of prep that goes in. And I tell people that too. You're not just up there and winging it, but there's some pre-work that's done. So now they have a better sense of how to compose the agenda, the meeting notes, how to pivot from one point to another. And I also, I see that people are able to read the room better. So part of public speaking is able to know when you've lost them for one reason or another, to be able to read that and pivot to another topic or a way to bring them back in is very important.
Yeah. Oftentimes when people are oblivious to that, they keep talking or sharing something and people are completely checked out or lost and you're wasting their time and wasting your own. And
we've all been stuck in those. I don't think there's anyone who hasn't been stuck in some sort of presentation that's just the speaker drones on and you can't wait for it to be over.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to get away from.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so important that that people definitely do that. Now, in terms of, where do people start? Fran, when people start this out and they're learning, are they learning the basic mechanics of speaking and public speaking, communication? Give us an idea what you feel like is the best way to start and what paves the way for, a training and learning experience that like sticks with them moving forward?
That's an excellent question. And I can tell you that in my workshops, we always start with the why. Why are you here? Why does this make a difference? How is it going to benefit you? And we always do that before we get into the mechanics, because you want to see the larger context. And for one thing, we have the right to free speech in this country. And so it's a skill that you want to develop because you have the right to use it. So whether it's work, whether it's the PTA, if you're a parent, being able to go and speak on behalf of your child, if you're involved in the community, volunteer efforts, it's being able to exercise a right that we have, which is the first thing that I tell them. And then we start to get into some of the other benefits, such as personal confidence and what goes into being a competent communicator. And that's what it's all about. And then we bring them into the how once we've covered the why.
That's great. And I like the fact that you said confidence, and confidence isn't something that, you flip a switch. Everyone has different levels of confidence at some point in their lives, but as long as that we're moving up and we're increasing our confidence, that's a good thing. So what are some things like with that? Because that's always a lot of times the issue, why people maybe stutter or might be not look at the audience straight in the eye because they lack that confidence. What are some good things to help build that confidence in this process?
Well, there are some things that and I want to step back for a minute and say just what you said. It's a universal fear.
Yeah.
And, the why is a whole nother story, but one of the greatest fears we have is standing in front of a group of people and speaking. It just is. And so one of the things that we go over some steps to manage your anxiety. You will have anxiety. In fact, I tell people that if you go address a group and you're overly relaxed, it's not important enough. It doesn't mean enough to you. So that there always will be some anxiety, and that's a good thing because that means you're on your game. It means you're ready for this event or for this message. But there are things that you can do. We talk about things like selective muscle relaxation, where you tighten a muscle group and then you relax it. We go over methods of deep breathing. We also talk about what are called cognitive restructuring, which is that you take some of that negative internal talk that we all have. I'm going to stutter. I'm going to trip on my way up to the stage. All those, we talk about ways to isolate those thoughts and flip them over to a more positive message. It takes practice. It's not automatic, but with repetition, it's doable.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
I love what you're sharing here, and it's so important what it can make a difference in key performance indicators, especially when you're looking to bring people together, enhance the team environment, and also, do you feel like it helps to contribute to creating a psychologically safe space in the workplace? Because obviously that without that it's hard to move things forward. It's harder to engage. It's harder to get people to enhance productivity, become more efficient, all of that above.
I do. And I think that part of that speaks to, it should be a safe environment in the workplace. And I think part of that speaks to the leadership, the people who, whether it's you or a level above you organizing the meeting, to make sure that that safe space is respected. Because people who, one of those fears of, I'm going to say something that's stupid, and we lose some of our best ideas that way because people are afraid to contribute. So if we create that environment where all ideas are valid and all opinions deserve to be heard, and some of that comes with effective leadership, which is, a tangential area. It's another area that I do training, but that's part of it. The other point that I want to make is that one of the things we go over is not just the technique, but the content. And it's so important as a public speaker to have your facts right and to know how to do research ahead of time so that you know that what you're talking about is solid and it's credible and you can back it up. And that's often the single biggest way to bring your own anxiety down, is to know that you have the facts. You know what you're talking about.
Absolutely. No, great information, what you're sharing. And what other insights could you share that you haven't discussed yet that you feel that are important when it comes to, effective public speaking in the workplace and all the things that can help to enhance, elevate, and enrich?
I think that, being able to understand all the ingredients that go into doing it well, and to learn to recognize your own body language, that you can communicate a message through your posture, for example, through making eye contact with your audience. I would argue that it's more critical than ever to have this skill. For one thing, we're in an era where misinformation is everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So it's incumbent upon, and I tell people that the more skilled you become as a public speaker, the more responsibility you have to speak from a place of knowledge and credibility and goodwill for your audience, and to always make sure that the message that you're speaking is taking them in the right direction, as opposed to, willfully misleading. or sending out false information. So I hope that's answering that, but I think in
Oh, no, absolutely.
this climate, credibility is absolutely key, and that goes hand in hand with being an effective public speaker.
Got it. There's so many people that, different generational types. You
Yeah.
got different people from different ethnic backgrounds, genders, all of the above.
Yes.
What do you feel like? Again, I know it's not one size fits all because everyone learns in a different way, but how do you find that most people learn to become better at speaking to improve their communication and improve their engagement in the workplace? What do you find works the best? Is it something visual, online courses, or working in a workshop, working with a speaking coach, somebody that really understands? Yeah.
I think each method has its merits. And I also, getting back to your point about generations, I think sometimes people learn differently. Certainly the younger people coming into the workforce, they're very comfortable talking into their devices and recording video. And that's a form of public speaking.
Yeah.
But I find that for most of the people that I work with, it's learning the key points, but it's also the opportunity to do it. And for most of my adult learners, which is a good portion of my workshops, they retain the information best by getting up there, rolling up their sleeves, and doing it themselves.
Yeah, that's great. And I guess again, it's important that, we got to be consistent. You got to take ownership, like, doing these things on your own, maybe recording you speaking on Zoom, or, maybe just talking to family or friends and recording it to get an idea of, like, where you're making improvements.
Sometimes people record themselves and play it back. You can get a lot of
Yeah.
information. And sometimes in the workshops, I address how to public speak over in a virtual format like we're doing now, and how to be present in those conversations, because that's important as well.
Yeah. And it's such a difference, like what it can do. Like we talk, going back to confidence, like people that maybe weren't confident in other areas of their life or career, how, when we can get over that fear, how it can really help us.
It's a domino effect. It's absolutely. In fact, I'm teaming up with someone else in July, and we're giving a whole unit on that, how confident communication sort of permeates your whole life, in the workplace, your personal life, your relationships, community involvement. It's one of those skills that can't be pigeonholed to one area, and that's to your benefit.
Yeah, no, so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that like you said, the companies that invest in the resources that will help in so many different areas and invest in their people are the ones that come out ahead. And I'm sure you see that with the trainings that you do in those organizations that have not done it once, but several, if not multiple times, to really make an improvement in this area.
And that's when you start getting word of mouth and someone leaves and they say, wow, I took so much away from this, I'm going to tell so-and-so to take this. That's rewarding, because that's when you know that you're making a difference. And yeah, I always tell people, make sure that this is relatable to the work you do, that you can take this back to your office and implement it. And when I hear that enthusiasm, it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, it is. No doubt about it. And I guess it doesn't matter, again, what size organization you are. It's just a matter of, where you have people, let's develop them and step up in their roles. Communication is so, so important. Wow. So great information. Any other final comments, that as we wind down near the end of the show, Fran, that you would like to share to this topic?
I think just that, people think, well, it's for my boss, it's not for me. And I think that final point that I would want to make is that this is a universal skill. So wherever you are in an organization, you want to be able to communicate well to your boss, to your supervisor, to your peers. If you manage a team, you want to be able to get your message across effectively to the people who report to you, all stakeholders, vendors, subcontractors. I think that final point is that this is a skill that really permeates society, and it's something that's important, that we really want to pay attention to.
I love it. Great information that you've shared here. Such a wealth of information. Listeners, we highly encourage you, if there's anything that you would have any questions, feel free to reach out to Fran. which will be leaving her contact information here later as we close out the show, as well as in the show notes when you listen to the show on demand. And again, any specific questions, let us know. We'll make sure to connect you with Fran to make sure we get that addressed for you.
I'd be happy to respond. And I want to thank you for having me today.
Oh, thank you. Such a wealth of information. So, Fran, this was just a lot of great insight that you've shared here. If you can let people know, like, where can they contact you? What are you up to in terms of what you're doing in this area, and anything that you'd like to share or give the audience?
Oh, thank you. I'm Connecticut based. So as you are, Chris. So,
Yep.
A lot of my training work is here in Connecticut, but a lot of it is virtual. I think for people, I do have, besides public speaking, there's a whole list of topics that fall under that umbrella of business communications. Anyone who's interested can visit my website, which is treleasecommunications.net. And I'm happy to, if someone wants to hop on a quick call with me, no obligation, I'm happy to talk about, what I do or answer any questions that people have.
Wow. Well, we highly encourage everybody to take advantage of that. Reach out to Fran, just a wealth of information in this area. And again, when you can really embrace public speaking and tap into a resource with somebody who's been doing it and teaching people like you and organizations to help you in your role and duties, and perhaps maybe get you that next promotion as well, because always good things come from when we communicate effectively.
Absolutely, 100%. You're right.
Well, thank you so much, Fran, for being here. And thank you, listeners, each and every week joining us here at Business Influencers. Again, we are committed to your success each and every week by bringing in subject matter experts like Fran each and every week. So again, if you would like to see a future show with content that we have not covered, feel free to reach out to us here at chris@christophersalem.com. We want to wish everybody a great rest of your week. And again, we will be back here next week, same time, again with another subject matter expert to share some insights and experiences to help move your level of influence and your business to the next level. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week and take care.